Hello, good morning. It is a pleasure to welcome you to Tanzania's AGRIF 2021 deal room. My name is Geoffrey Kirenga. I will be moderating the session. Let me take this opportunity to thank their leadership in AGRIF as well as in Tanzania in this great partnership. Once more, this year is an opportunity for Tanzania and Africa to showcase the development that this great partnership in agriculture and as well as allied sectors is doing. With me here, I have my colleagues that I would wish to introduce. I have my colleague here from the Ministry responsible for Livestock and Fisheries. Let me invite him to mention his name.
Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name's Bedan Masurudi. I'm here on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Livestock and Fisheries, Livestock Sector. Thank you.
Thank you from the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. And with him, we have one of our main speakers this morning, Madam Diana Ladislaus. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Diana Ladislaus Mwamanga. I'm from the Tanzania Investment Center, Department of Investment Promotion. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. We'll be looking forward for the presentation. You'll be making the pitch for Tanzania. With our team here, we do have members from the government institutions, ministries, departments, and agencies right here in this particular room where we have taken all the measures to make sure that we are COVID compliant as far as all the measures are required. And I would wish to mention a few from the Ministry of Regional Administration and Local Government. We do have representatives from ministry responsible for water and also irrigation, and many representatives from the private sector. I see the CEO of one of the investors in the livestock sector, and Mrs. Eliza Betswai, Akem Glitters, but also I see one of the international investors here from Israel, Mr. Avi Polstenik, and this is the kind of participation that we are looking forward. And of course, the whole team of Tanzania Agra office here is with us. Let's go into the session now. We are ready for that. Let me invite the representative of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries to give a word of officiating our session. And I know that Professor Sizia Tumbo from the Ministry of Agriculture was also supposed to be with us, but he will be joining us as we proceed. Please welcome the representative of the PS Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries.
Thank you, MC. Agra International, Agra Tanzania, members from Ministry of Agriculture, representatives from TIC, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor this morning for having been given this opportunity to officiate and grace this meeting. I would like to welcome you all to this special meeting whereby we are going to discuss partnership between AGRAF and the United Republic of Tanzania in terms of agricultural development and the other issues that we are trying to partner in order to ensure that agriculture is developing, livestock is developing, fisheries is developing, and other sectors in the country. I'm sure we are going to use this rare opportunity to discuss the way we are going to partner and the way we want to achieve, what we want to achieve, and the way forward. So with those few words, I would like to welcome everybody to fully participate in this forum, in this discussion, so that we achieve what we want to achieve today. With those few remarks, I welcome everybody, and I now declare that our meeting, our discussion is open. You are all welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For those in the room, but also for those ones participating online, the time have come once more to listen a great story about what kind of opportunities are there for investments in African agriculture, represented by Tanzania. In Tanzania, we have an institution that is responsible for promotion of investment, and today they will be telling us their story about the opportunities for investment in the agricultural sector. That institution is Tanzania Investment Center, and we have an able representative here from the Director General of TIC, and it's no other than Diana Ladislaus, and I will be calling you Diana. Diana, here now, the floor is yours. I know we are uploading the presentation, and please, go on. You have the floor now, and I understand you have about 20 minutes to make that presentation, which will be followed up with an interactive sector of question, answer, and comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Deputy Permanent Secretary of Livestock and Fisheries, CEO of SAGCOT, fellow government officials, agri team, private sector, good morning to you all. My name is Dana Ladislaus Mamanga, as previously introduced, and I'm from Tanzania Investment Center, and I'll be giving you a presentation on an overview of the investment climate, as well as the opportunities of which are available to invest in the sector of agriculture, inclusive of livestock and fisheries sector. Right. Next.
Sorry, within a minute here to make sure that the slides are rolling. Probably as we're waiting, you can just share in high level what TIC is and what is it doing while we are loading the slides.
Yes,
Thank you, Diana.
So while we wait for the slides loading, so basically Tanzania Investment Center is an institution. It's a government institution actually under the Prime Minister's office, and we have the mandate to to supervise or to facilitate investors in general, and we are cross-cutting in all sectors, inclusive in the country. And our role is basically to ensure that the investors get the right information. So I'm told now I can proceed with my presentation. So as I said, my presentation today will be about an overview of the investment climate, as well as the opportunities of which are available to invest in the country, particularly in the sectors of agriculture, inclusive of livestock and fisheries. So next slide, please. And so my main agenda for today will be basically to give you an introduction about what exactly TAC does and what exactly we do, inclusive with our role in the sector, all sectors, but as well as to give you an economic overview of where our economy stands in the country when it comes to investment side, but also to give you the trend of how the investment is going on in the country and why should you invest in Tanzania particularly, as well as the incentive that we provide to our investors. What benefit do we give them once they come to invest in the country? And of course, but not least, we'll talk about the opportunities for which are available to invest in the respective sector that I mentioned, and that will conclude my presentation for today. Next slide, please. So basically, as a country right now, we have a vision to be an industrialized nation by 2025, and hence to make our vision realistic, we are mainly spearheading the manufacturing sector. Now, of course, this includes agro-industrialization, which is inclusive in the manufacturing sector as a subsector of manufacturing. As we all know, manufacturing is quite broad, and hence it includes a number of subsectors as well. One of them is agro processing. Yes. Next slide. And of course, agriculture as a sector contributes about 28.7% to our GDP growth, and with an employment of about 66% of the population, and also about 20% when it comes to the export earnings. And this is quite also a good, a good contribution from the agriculture sector as a whole. But we also have a 5-year development plan, of which also sets up the target of agro-industrialization, as I explained earlier. So within the 5-year development plan, of which mainly focuses on manufacturing sector as a whole, when it comes to agriculture, it's inclusive with the part of agro-processing, which is also agro-industrialization, to emphasize investors to come in the country and invest in this sector, manufacturing as a whole, but also inclusive in the subsector of agro-industrialization. Yes. The next slide. And of course, Tanzania has done a lot of initiatives building with TIDI for the Tanzania Agriculture Industrial Development Flagship, but also for the agriculture sector development programs, all of which we are trying to ensure that this sector gets enough attention and growth to keep on having the increment when it comes to the economy as a whole. So as a country, we're trying to put as much initiative as we can to push this sector to grow, but as well as to also have a focus and have a great increment when it comes to economy and revenue. Next slide. Tanzania is a Tanzania Investment Center, as I briefly talked earlier, but I'm going to explain about it deeply. We are a government institution which is under the Prime Minister's office, and we have mainly 3 tasks. Number 1 is the promotion, whereby for promotion part, our role is to ensure that the investors get the right information and guidance when it comes to them wanting to invest in the country. Issues like where do they start, what are the requirements, what sectors are involved, because some investors come in the country and they don't really know what sectors there are to invest in. So it's also our role to make them understand, like, what sectors do we have in the country, of course inclusive of agriculture sector, for example. Like, so what are the steps to take in investing in agriculture? What are the requirements? Are there any permits? Are there any licenses? So it's our role to make sure that they get the right information and they know how to go about in investing in the country and which steps to take and forward on. Now, once they do decide to invest in the country, the second role is facilitation part. Now, for facilitation, our role is to ensure that they get the right guidance when it comes to the applications. Sorry, still on the previous slide. They get the right facilitation when it comes to the investment. I mean, how to make the applications, be it company registrations and etc. So that's the part of facilitation. I will explain it more when it comes to the one-stop shop. And thirdly is for policies issues, whereby it is our role as a government institution which is mandated on investment to act as a medium person between the government and the investor, whereby we have a role of advising the government on policies which we see fit for investment to ensure that the investment climate is conducive for the investors. Right. Next slide. So at TAC we have the one-stop facilitation center, which basically means that we have a number of institutions and agencies all under one roof. So all these institutions, they are independent institutions, but we have requested them to give us their senior officers to facilitate our investors. Now, this includes for company registration, we have BRELA, which is the Business Registration Licensing Agency. We have TRA, which is the Tanzania Revenue Authority. For foreign investors, we have the Immigration there and Labor Department, of which their role is to ensure that they get the right permits for working and also for the residence permits. Among other issues, for those who need the Environmental Impact Assessment Certificate, we also have the National Environment Management Council and so forth. So all these institutions are present within TAC building, all under one roof, under the Department of Investment Facilitation, and their role is to ensure that our investors get the right information from the right source directly, and so that they can all proceed conducively with the investment. Next slide. So when it comes to our economic trend, so this is just to give you a projection about our economical status and a forecast of our economy. Of course, this study was done by Bank of Tanzania, and it grows up to the current date of, current year, 2021. But what it's trying to show is to show you a general forecast or stand as to where our economy stands at the current period. And as you can see in the graph that above, in front of you in the screen, our economy is seen to be steadily and growing with the positive, implication or indication, which is also encouraging to investors when choosing to invest in the country. You need to be assured that you're going to invest in a country whereby the economy is stable and that it won't crumble in the coming future, which will also affect your investment in the coming future. So in that way, we have confidence to our investors that we're going to have a stable economy and hence conducive for their investment. Yes. The next slide, please. Now, this is another area I wanted to explain. Of course, we are all hit by this pandemic as of last year, COVID-19, and you can see in my my diagram right in front of your screen that what I'm trying to show you is that, of course, we are all hit by this pandemic, and when it comes to the Eastern Africa, or in Africa, our nearby countries as a whole, you can see that we were all hit in the economy. But still, besides being hit with this pandemic and affecting our economy was still to have a steady or a much more better position as compared to other countries with a 5.2% growth rate, which is not bad considering the situation of last year. So we pride ourselves on that one as well. And this is also another indicator when it comes to the economic trend of Tanzania, which is also a conducive indicator for the investors as a whole. Next slide, please. Now, why should you invest in the country? So, first and foremost is our political stability, of which we pride ourselves for. Ever since we got independence, we have never faced any kind of political instabilities, which is also a good indicator when you're choosing a country to invest. You want to be sure that you're going to invest in a country whereby there is peace, there's political stability, that there won't be any kind of political instabilities which might affect your investment in the near future. And when it comes to the economic stability, I tried to emphasize or explain more based on the charts and graph that I showed you about the maps of Tanzania and the nearby countries when it comes to GDP growth despite COVID-19. But also we are rich when it comes to the natural resources. We have enough arable land, labor force, tourist attractions, minerals, extractives, natural gas, etc. We all have that available for it to be taken into use for investment purposes. So we welcome you on that. But we also provide investment guarantee to our investors, and these guarantees are in the form of bilateral investment treaties, bilateral trade agreements, but we're also a member of the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, which is called MIGA, of which basically is under the wing of World Bank, and it safeguards our investors when it comes to the non-commercial risks. But we also have ATIA, African Trade Insurance Agency, which basically safeguards our investors when it comes to both commercial and non-commercial risk as a whole. And of course, we are at a really good strategic location, which enables us to serve landlocked countries, which are, I think it's not less than 6 countries, which they don't have access to the harbor, and hence they depend on Tanzania harbor, mainly Dar es Salaam harbor, to import and export. As well as over 3 major international airports, basically what I'm trying to say is that we have this infrastructure which enables our investors to easily import and export products, as well as the raw materials which are needed for those which are not available locally, to provide a more conducive environment for them when it comes to investment. Of course, when it comes to the market, we are a member of the East African Community, EAC in short, which is not less of about 160 million people, and Southern African Development Community is about 450 million people on average, not less than that much. So all of this is just to give you a rough idea about the market potential of which will be able to be tapped by the investors. So basically, while investing in Tanzania, you don't only have to focus on the Tanzanian market, local market alone, but you can be able to venture into the nearby markets as well. Next slide. Now, we mainly have 2 categories of investors. The first is a normal investor, which is which qualifies you to be TAC registered. Now, this does not mean that you need to have this much for you to qualify to invest in the country. What it means is that this is just a qualification to be TAC registered, to be able to enjoy the incentives. So the first, for a normal investor which qualifies to be TSC registered, for a foreign investor, you need to have the value of your investment should not be less than 500,000 USD, and for a local investor, it's 100,000. Mind you, this is the value of investment, not capital, and it's mainly on the items of which are inclusive within the investment, be it land, buildings, machineries, vehicles, the tangible assets that you're going to invest within your investment. And it's not just initially, it's for the whole project, regardless of how many phases you have for your investment, whether it's 2 or 3 phases. So you have to combine all the phases together, and the totality of the value should not be less than that much. And when it comes to the strategic investor status, now this is a more privileged status given to investors, whereby we acknowledge the contribution that you have you brought to the country, economy-wise, revenue-wise, be it from the employment-wise, as well as the tax and all that. So for the qualification to be have this status, for a foreign investor, the minimum value is that you need to invest about 50 million USD, and for a local investor is 20 million USD. So this is explained more in the coming next slide in detail. Right? Now for this status, so mainly the benefit of this status is that you also get to enjoy the same incentive package as everyone else, but the difference is that you get to be able to request custom incentives from the government, and these incentives could be fiscal incentives or non-fiscal incentives, regardless. So basically now the Tanzania Investment Center, being the secretariat of the National Investment Steering Committee, NISC, we will discuss we will present this package to the National Investment Steering Committee, the chairman being our Prime Minister. So once they're discussed, the ones which are approved, you get them to enjoy them, plus the initial normal package that every investor gets to benefit. So next slide. Now for the fiscal incentive, these are mainly the tax incentive that you get to benefit as an investor. Now this includes like import duty for, project capital goods, import duty is 0. Deemed capital goods, this includes items like building materials, equipment, and utility vehicles. For such items, import duty is reduced by 75%, but also for VAT is still payable, but however, once you import your project capital goods, VAT, if your VAT charge is 10 million and above, you won't have to pay it on spot. You can pay it once you start generating revenues within your investment, and it will be paid by installment. And however, also if you are going to invest maybe in the vehicles used in the agriculture sector, like the tractors and etc., maybe assembling or maybe manufacturing of such items, the corporate tax is reduced by 10% when you only pay 10% on that when it comes to the automotive. And also for the leather, you'll pay about 20% corporate tax. It's an initiative by the government to attract investors to invest in this sector. Next slide. For the non-fiscal incentives, these are non-tax incentives. So initially, for the foreign investors, you'll be allowed to bring in 5 expatriates initially, but this is not rigid or fixed. It's up for negotiation with the Labor Department, whereby you can state for what purpose that these investors are coming to play, the expatriates are coming to play, what role they're coming to do, the employment. So as long as that part is clear, it's not a problem. And also, you're also free to repatriate your funds back to your home country. There's no obstacle when it comes to that one. And we also help investors to obtain land for investment, among other areas, in a nutshell. So, going to the opportunities which are available to invest in agriculture, inclusive of livestock and fisheries. Next slide. So first is the edible oil. Now for edible oil, we have an abundance of raw material. Basically the sunflower, as you can see, is the most leading raw material among groundnuts and other items mentioned there for producing edible oil. But it's edible oil as a whole is what we encourage investors to invest in Tanzania. So we're not trying to limit the investor to produce only sunflower edible oil, but any edible oil of which you can produce, be it palm, from groundnuts, we encourage it all to invest. Yes. Next slide. So the opportunity in this edible oil, as you can see there, our demand, which is projected up to 2030, is an increment for about 700,000 tons, which is also quite a great incremental compared to the one provided in 2018, which was about, as you can see there in front of you, it was about 570,000 tons. But our only local supply was about 180,000, which gave about such much of a deficit. So we are trying to really encourage investors to come in and invest in this subsector and produce edible oil so that we can reduce the amount that we are importing. Because as of right now, we are importing a lot of edible oils. And one of the countries we are highly importing in is from also Malaysia. I mean palm oil specifically. So we're encouraging to have the refinery here to produce edible oil and produce. We have abundance of raw material to be able to do that in the country. Next slide. The other area is the livestock and leather. Now this is also for the whole value chain because Tanzania is counted as number 2 when it comes to the amount of livestock that we have in Africa, which is also a good indicator to investors who want to invest in this sector as a whole, because we have the raw material here, the animals are here in quite a huge number of herd. And as you can see, we have the whole the whole value chain available for investment, from the growing and fattening of the animals to the having abattoirs for the slaughterhouses, to the meat processing, meat packaging and supply, as well as up to the leather processing as well. So we encourage for this whole value chain for investors to come in and invest in this sector as a whole. And as you can see on my farther right, I gave you a small chart to just give you an indication of how much the demand of meat keeps on increasing per annum. As you can see, up to 2030, the amount is quite incremental. So there's a huge potential in this sector, and we highly encourage you to invest. So next slide, please. The other potential areas are fishing and aquaculture. As you can see, we really have a long coastline, about 1,424 kilometers, but yet we still import fish. Now this is only because we have a lot of fishermen, but they're all small scaled. Hence we're encouraging for deep sea fishing, large scale fishing, for investors to come in and invest in this sector as a whole, and be able to fish in large scale for the local market as well as the nearby markets as well as a whole. So there's a really huge potential in that, and we highly encourage. And hence this also gives rise to another potential, which is the cold storage, because once you fish the fish in large scale, you need to be able to store them as well for them to be fresh to reach the marketplace. So there's a really huge potential when it comes to this sector as a whole, and we also highly encourage investors to come and invest in this particular sector as a whole as well. Next slide. Now so basically we have a number of these are just to show you roughly the water bodies that we have and the value of the fish that's available and the amount of fish that's available according to the water bodies that are available in Tanzania. And as you can see right in front of you, we have a number of water bodies, which means you have a number of areas of which you can be able to fish in large scale and have deep sea fishing and have a huge amount of fish to fish and be able to supply to local markets and the nearby markets as well. So you're highly welcome to invest in that area. Just to brush through, we have a sister institution called EPZA, in short. It's the Export Processing Zone Authority, and they mainly focus on investors who want to invest in Tanzania, but they are mainly their market is mainly for export markets. So they have special incentive packages for such kind of investors, whereby they can be able to invest, but as well as focus on the export market and have special package of incentives for such kind of investors. Next slide. And our other sister institution is ZIPA, which is the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority. They do exactly everything that TAC does, but mainly focusing on the island. So basically when it comes to the promotion, facilitation and policies based on the island, as well as the ensuring investors get the right information and guidance. But in the next slide, you'll also see that they also have areas. In the next slide, you also see that they also have areas of which they are also promoting investment in. Next slide. So as you can see, they're also promoting deep sea fishing, agriculture as well, horticulture. Basically, the whole agriculture sector is quite potential in Zanzibar because they have a deficiency when it comes to agriculture sector and products in Zanzibar, be it just normal horticulture items, normal agriculture items. So the whole value chain is also a welcome there to invest, as well as when it comes to spices and fishing and aquaculture and deep sea fishing as a whole in Zanzibar as well. So basically, in a nutshell, those are the areas which are available to invest in the country within the sector, and we highly welcome investors to come and invest in Tanzania. And as TAC, we highly welcome you, and we are ready to facilitate you and ensure that you have a soft landing of your investment as a whole. So welcome to invest in Tanzania. Thank you.
Well done, Diana, for such a powerful presentation and eloquently presented. You have showcased the potential for investment that is in Tanzania. You have really shown the contribution and the work that is being done by the government as well as TIC. And I would like once more to give you a round of applause from the room here and for those ones online. Once more, I recognize the presence of all of us here. I know in the room here we have people from Prime Minister's office. Matthew, thank you for coming. We have people from Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank, very, very important. Of course, AGRA, TIC, SAGCOT here, and the CEOs from the private sector. But as I promised you at the beginning of the session, the Permanent Secretary, the Deputy PS in the Ministry of Agriculture, which is a very important government ministry responsible for agricultural development in Tanzania, was to join us, and I'm glad to know that he is already with us. He will be joining us online here. He has 3 to 5 minutes to give a word of officiation from the ministry. And Professor Tumbo, Honorable Professor Tumbo, I know you hear me.
Yes.
You're welcome, and we are all eager to listen to you. And the floor is yours, Professor. You have 3 to 5 minutes. And after that, we'll go into the session, plenary session, whereby we will be receiving questions, comments, and suggestions from the floor here, and as well as from those participating online. I'm told we have more than 140 participants online, and I'm glad to know the room is well attended. You're welcome, Professor Tumbo.
Hello, everyone. I really appreciate. I've been reading all the messages that have, a lot of people have been posting. Very impressive. I also like to congratulate the presenter, our presenter, TIC presenter. She presented very well. She presented Tanzania situation very well. I think, and I noted a lot of people who appreciated the presentation. So we really welcome anyone who wants to partner with the local companies in the country to invest in Tanzania. You saw the stability, the COVID-19 stability, but peace and stability since independence. The opportunities, all which have been presented. What I really wanted to emphasize are 3 key areas. One area in terms of investment is in terms of market development. This is an area where partnership is required. What I know, almost everything is needed around the world in terms of huge amount. If you look at the demand for maize around the world, is more than 170 million tons. You look at the requirement for example, rice is more than 32 million tons. You look for demand for oil crops, it's more than 360 million tons. So we know that most of those products can be grown also in Tanzania and exported elsewhere. Now, our companies, local companies, SMEs, they would really like to have partnership with other people from around the world to partner with networks wherever you are. You know that there is a market, you know the individuals where the product can be connected and supplied from Tanzania, produced in Tanzania and supplied somewhere else. Then let's form a partnership so that on this side, we can produce, and then we look for market outside, and financing capability is also required. So that is one area. Second area is productivity enhancement. In that part, we can improve, we can reduce cost of production by bringing in knowledge, increase volumes which are required for to supply to the market, but also some specific requirements in terms of quality and standards. So those are another area where we can have partnership with our local companies. A third area is agricultural financing. It can be in terms of trade financing, uh, like some of the trade financing, a lot of companies they are getting from Indian companies, but I believe also from other countries the same can be done. Agricultural financing, and this can be in terms of agricultural trading or agricultural production. All these areas are very critical for our SMEs in the country. So I really appreciate your contributions. I'm supposed to attend another session, but I will stay like for 5 minutes to listen. But I know I have a very big team in Tanzania. They'll be taking your questions, and we are available for all your comments. I've heard some of you have not received any response from us. Please contact us. You can contact also the Minister of Agriculture directly, and we'll be able to respond. You send your email. The moderator knows our email. He will give you the contacts, and my mobile phone is available. You can send me a message through WhatsApp, and I'll be able to respond. And let me just type my contact here so that in case you need a direct contact, I'll be available. So thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would like to give back to you. I'll type my contact so whoever needs to contact me, and they'll be able to contact. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sizia Tumbo, for those very good words of encouragement and also informing us what is needed in the world as far as food is concerned and what Africa should actually do in order to meet those demands, and Tanzania's contribution as well. I'm also very happy to know that you will still be with us here in the room, and as you have said, there is a great participation online, more than 140 people now, and I'm quite sure that the number has increased, but also the room is very active. I will give special preference to the shared questions and comments online, and with me right now I have two very good questions, and I would like to read them, and as you're writing your contacts, so that all of us will know your number, that we can WhatsApp you in case we have need for additional information. Right now, the questions are as follows. The first one is actually, what is the government policy and commitments on agricultural mechanization? I find this question very relevant, that mechanization is very important across the value chain, and especially when we want to attract the youth in agriculture. To do away with the drudgery of hand-hold. That's very, very important. The second question is, what is the regulation on business registration for fellow Africans, and especially the youth-led startups? You see, youth issues are featuring a great deal now in all the discussions with regard to agricultural development in Africa, and these questions are very, very relevant. Let's start with the two questions as I collect questions in the room. And Honorable PS, Deputy PS from the Ministry of Agriculture, and also the representative here of the PS from the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. These questions are very relevant to our two policymakers here in the room. The floor is yours, Professor Sizia, if you want to start with responding to those questions, as I'll prepare the colleague from the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries also to add into it.
In terms of agricultural mechanization, currently the way we go, we want to, we really invite private sector to provide hiring services. We need those hiring services from cultivation, spraying, and harvesting. So those services are needed, and more today than yesterday. So we are very open. Again, all our agricultural machines, they are import tax free. So the policy is quite conducive, and also the demand is extremely very high. As we are moving, the number of large size farms are increasing. So we really need to invite a lot of people who wants to invest in that business, hiring services. So with regard to business registration, is online. There is a BRELA. You just apply online, and you'll be able to get your business license, I think, within 48 hours after the application, as long as all the required information is submitted. I know there's a lot of questions, so I want to make sure that I keep my answers as short as possible.
Sir Tumbo, before you go, on the second question, I will underline the line fellow Africans. Maybe this is what actually the question was addressing. Is there any preference for fellow Africans as we compare to the rest of the world? Do we have any special conditions for people from Africa as far as investment is concerned? I don't know if Professor Tumbo has been able to follow the question, but I would like to invite Diana from TIC, if you can respond, because the question was, what is the regulation on business registration for fellow Africans and especially youth and startups? If TIC do distinguish that, or we all fall under the same categories for all our investors?
Basically, when it comes to business registration, all businesses are done through the same procedure or same requirements. There aren't any kind of distinguishments, right? So basically, as long as, for example, maybe only I can qualify one item. So let's say if you're trying to maybe just partake in one particular business, all you're required to do is just apply for the business license from BRELA, as explained by Honorable Professor Nkumbo. But then, like, if you're planning on maybe getting into more than one business, if those businesses do not interlink with one another, then you'll be required to apply for a business license separately for each. Just to clarify that part.
Thank you, Diana. And I will be giving room for the other questions from the floor here, and also reading from what is being provided online. I would like to invite the PS from the Livestock and Fisheries to respond to some of the questions that we have already shared.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me this opportunity. And just responding to the policy on agricultural mechanization. Our policy, that is the National Livestock Policy 20006, is very much encouraging livestock mechanization. In the recent past, we have been promoting the use of machines, like if we want to venture into investing in making hay. We promote that one, that if you have balers, you are all encouraged to come and invest, because you see, livestock feeds, if you sell pasture, if you sell hay, it's already marked up in Tanzania, because as you have seen from the numbers, we have over 30 million of, and they need feeds, and feeds, you need to invest in assuring that feed is available to livestock. And if you invest in hay, if you invest in silage, we encourage using machines. Now, going to milking, if you want to improve, you want to venture into dairying, we know if you want to achieve your target, you need to at least include machines in, for example, milking machines and what have you. And this is being encouraged at all levels. So investors are welcome, and they are encouraged to use machines in livestock farming. So you are all welcome, and use of machines is very much being promoted by our policies, the National Livestock Policy of 2006. I think that was, otherwise the issue of business has been answered by my colleague from TIC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for those very good responses. We are learning that even in the livestock sector now, the time has come for mechanization and the use of technologies in the livestock and also in the fisheries. And now I know the government is encouraging investment in the deep sea fishing, but also in the aquaculture sector, where the use of machinery and technology is very highly encouraged. Now, the time has come for the participants in the room to be given opportunity to also ask questions to TIC and also to the leadership that is here from the government. The mic is here in the room. Please, can you pass the mic around? Welcome. Please introduce yourself and answer your question. Ask your question.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here and to listen about those opportunities. My name is Avi. I'm from Israel, and I am the CEO and the owner of AIE Holding. It's a local company registered, and I will take this opportunity first to thank TIC that we just finished our registration. We got help and support that there is no word to thank about this. Of course, we are welcomed by the different ministries. And basically our project, the AIE project that we are going to implement, is the biggest agro-industrial and education project that will be in the country. In our project, we provide all the solution for all what you saw in the presentation of TIC. We have livestock that we have the whole value chain from the field crops to the supermarket. Okay? We are going to have a big oil factory, soya, sunflower, and corn. We are going to have 25,000 hectares of soya, sunflower, and corn. Feed mill, huge poultry farm, huge fish farm, huge cattle farm, dairy, milk processing. We are going to open a big training center. The trainers will come from Israel. We are going to employ 7,000 direct employees. 7,000. Just imagine how many indirect people will touch our project. We are going to mechanize all our projects. All will be irrigated. We are not depending on rainfall. We are going to do 5,000 hectares of pineapple for concentrate. We have land in EPZ zone, Bagamoyo EPZ zone, all going to export. We are going to do a huge avocado project in Jombe, 2,000 hectares, 30,000 ton avocado per year, all for export. We have the client. It will be together with the local farmer. So we are giving answer to the whole needs of the countries. Or this country, and we are doing it with pleasure. We are also bringing huge capital from our pocket, but we're facing a problem to raise up finance in the local institution, let's say, and we have facing a problem to raise up money in the international fund, also in Israel. And the reason is because the international rate, credit rate of Tanzania is very low. So funders that are not investing in Africa, they are not ready to lend money or to invest here. And for this, we need government help, government support to raise up money. Our project, the whole investment is about 250 million US dollar. The return on investment of our project is about 5 years. It's extremely high, and we are going to do a revolution, but we just need the final stage that help to raise up finance for the rest of the money that we need. It can be equity, it can be debt. I'm not looking for grants. We are business people, we know how to manage it. We are not coming to build and to hand it over to the local people. We are going to be here forever and to multiply this project. It's a huge project. It's well known in the country already, but we need the support to the last step to raise up the rest of the finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avi, for that very important information about the investment that you want to do in Tanzania, and also for pitching for potential sources of financing to make it happening, to come and partner with your business. We're looking forward for that. Is there any other comment from the room? If not, I would like to read what is available online. Professor Tumbo, and also to the rest of the government of Tanzania, they say, thank Professor Tumbo for the partnership. Should work to reduce the cost of inputs for high productivity. For instance, fertilizer prices are very high at the moment in the country. You see, this is an area where a challenge can be seen as an opportunity for investors to come and invest in the fertilizer and other technologies that are needed in order to do the transformation of agriculture in Africa. Tanzania is ready for that, as you have heard from the presentation from TIC. The second question here is coming from Emmanuel Ansa, and he's informing us about his company, which is called the Untitled Chapter. And he has given us here the link, and he's saying he's ready to partner for hiring services for agricultural mechanization in Tanzania. Emmanuel, you're welcome. The country now is open for business. You have heard about the leadership in Tanzania, pitching the country for investment, welcoming the investors to come, especially in the sectors like agriculture. And I think this is the time to do the partnership that is needed to invite investors from within and also from outside the country to come and invest in Tanzania. I don't know if Professor Tumbo is still with us, and also the PS from the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. And if you have got any other person in the room that would like to give a comment or a statement, we still have about 3 other minutes before we close our room. Okay, welcome, Eliza. Please go there and make a presentation while you prepare for that.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to represent our business family, especially women. First of all, we want to thank AGRA to give us an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for being coached. And we are over 1,000 all over Africa. I'm one of them benefiting. So we thank you so much. But for the investors, and on behalf of Tanzania, I would like to stand as a woman to welcome you to invest in Tanzania. As you have heard, we have arable land, we have human resources, we have all it takes for an investor to come and invest in Tanzania. And as for women, of course, we have our own challenges when it comes to investing because it's a new thing to us. So we are ready to learn from you, but we also welcome you to trust women and work with women through women businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Swai Eliza, the CEO of Ekem Glitters, one of the company that has successfully invested in the livestock sector, especially in the poultry value chain, working in almost all the regions of Tanzania. Next now, Madam back there, you are invited now to, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Mary Kishe. I'm from Fisheries Research Institute, and I'm here on behalf of Permanent Secretary Fisheries Sector. Welcome investors to Tanzania, especially for Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. And I just want to add what Permanent Secretary Livestock said, that in fisheries sector there is so much opportunities to investigate. To add on what Chairperson said about EEZ, Economic Exclusive Zone, is not yet explored, and we need some investors to jump to that area because there are a lot of fish resources there, but they are not yet explored because of big ship to go to deep sea. So that area is very, very important. Another area is on post-harvest loss. In fisheries, we have that problem of post-harvest loss, and we need some infrastructures to reduce the post-harvest loss, especially in fisheries. So there is the opportunity of establishment of infrastructures to reduce post-harvest losses, especially for fish species which are abundant in Tanzania. Another area is on aquaculture. The problem which we are facing now in Tanzania is fish feeds and fish seeds. So it's an area which we need investment for the production of enough feeds for fish, but also enough seeds and quality seeds for fishing. So we encourage aquaculture in Tanzania, but we have the problem of fish seeds and fish feeds. So it's an area also to invest. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Madam, representing the PS in the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, responsible for fisheries. Those are very, very important information about the opportunities in the special economic zone, exclusive economic zone. Those are the high seas, but as well as for the aquaculture subsector in Tanzania. We have seen two comments from the government side, but as well as two comments from the captains of businesses, and one of them is women. And I applaud the role that the women are playing in African agriculture, and we're looking forward more for that. And this is the reason now, I have a comment here online. I think most of us have seen it. I'll be reading, and it's very relevant to TIC. I know now we are left with about 3 minutes, and probably you will be the last one to make a live comment in this deal room before we go to the closing. It says TIC is very essential in improvement of investments in Tanzania. The main problem is a lot of compliance certificates, getting this, get that, and my question is, haven't you thought of consolidating all these fees and compliance measures, or the best way harmonize the process so that an investor is guided accordingly upon commencement of these operations? I know this is all the question about the regulatory burden that we have heard many times from the private sector. It is a question that has been there, and this is one of the reasons why TIC was actually created, and having a one-stop center, all those services, the ones which are being mentioned here. And we're also very much aware about blueprint and the consolidation of some of the institutions that are required in the implementation of the business of government. And now, please, Madam Diana, you are invited to respond to this question. Yeah. I think it's very relevant to the private sector.
Thank you, moderator. Actually, most of the things you've already clarified. I just want to add on to what you've said. Correct, TIC, we do have a one-stop shop, which its main role is to ensure that all these things go smoothly. And that is why we also encourage investors to be TIC registered, because it becomes easier on TIC to step in on behalf of the investor and to follow up. Why is this permit delaying? Why is this licensing delaying? Or what is wrong somewhere? Or maybe when you have tax issues and so forth, immigration issues, it becomes really easy for us to step in and follow up and help the investor if you're TIC registered. If you're not, it does not mean that we will ignore you. We'll do our best to help you, but we will have limitations, because we don't know when you started your investment. We don't know how is your progress, how many employees you have, like what you produce. We don't know anything. So it becomes really hard on our side to go farther than how we would want to help. But the benefit of being TAC registered is not only about the incentives packages, the tax and non-tax. It goes beyond to the Aftercare Department. And we also have that department at TAC, it's called the Aftercare Department, which deals with queries for investors. Maybe let's say you have issues, maybe you want to clarify with TRA and you need help with TAC, or maybe let's say you have your expatriates and they haven't been cleared with their permits, and maybe the task force has come to your office and they've taken them, and etc. So that department is dedicated to dealing with such queries for investors and to sort them and to be like the middle person between the investor and the respective government institution. But even further, that department also deals with visiting our projects, the TAC research project, to see how are you progressing. We don't just wait for you to come to us. We also come to you to see how you're proceeding. Do you have any difficulties? How can TAC help? How are you progressing? You say you're dealing with maybe poultry, like Madam Swai. Like how far you led with your poultry investment, and so much for. We come to see how you're progressing. And also believe if TAC also came to visit your project as well, if I'm not mistaken, among other projects as well. So that's just an example. So we do more than just give you incentive packages. We also care about your progress and your status as an investor. But also when it comes to the one-stop shop, just to add up a bit, when it comes to the one-stop shop, all these, again, are independent institutions. They are not under TAC. We only facilitate through TAC. And all these institutions are under the Department of, of course, One-Stop Shop under the Department of Investment Facilitation. And that department has a director, for the director of the investment facilitation. And they meet not every month, but in a quarterly basis. They have meetings with all these CEOs and MDs and director generals and executive directors for all these institutions, and the director of the department concerned reports what issues have been holding them back with the respective institutions, if it's TRA, if it's maybe immigration, and etc. And then they discuss way forward. If maybe there's a live case for an investor, they also discuss it there to try and sort it. So we go beyond in ensuring that our investors, they get the right facilitation and way forward for their investment, but as well as to ensure that they have a soft landing of their investment.
Thank you, Diana, for that very good response. And with that, now we are arriving at the end of our session, Tanzania Deal Room. And once more, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you that have attended here physically. And for those ones who have made time to attend online, I know we have had one of the biggest participation in Tanzanian Deal Room. And I take this moment to invite all of you that you have heard about our story, the opportunity for investing in Tanzania. Tanzania now is open for business. The leadership is ready. You've seen the government institution here represented, and also the private sector here represented, sharing about the quality of the services that they're obtaining there. Yes, other issues which we need to improve as we embark in this journey, that we need a partnership between public and private sector in order to make it happen. And with that, once more, thank you all here, and also to the leadership of AGRA, Madame Kalibata, for this opportunity and your team as we build towards the next big event as far as issues of food are concerned in the UN in the few weeks to come. With that, let me declare the room now open, and we're looking forward to see you in Tanzania as an investor. Thank you.